What's up everyone? Welcome back to another amazing video. My name is Saki and we are covering in today's video DNF Duel. Their first beta was this past weekend and I wanted to give my thoughts and experience as well as provide some opportunity for everyone to tell me their thoughts and experience. We've definitely been streaming the game this past weekend and it was a lot of fun. But there's a couple of things that I had some gripes about as well as some concerns, in addition to some of like really awesome positive feedback that I think hopefully by the time the game comes out it might be even a solid fighting game that comes out. So let's go ahead and go into the first part of the video. So the first part of the DNF beta, when I first day, there was a bunch of server issues. It was definitely a little bit frustrating, but again, it is a beta, so you're gonna obviously have those issues, especially with servers being offline and everybody's going in. It's the first time this game is coming out and it's a beta, etc, etc. I think one of the biggest things that I probably had a little bit of issue as far as this beta in particular is that it felt very rushed. So many people really wanted to hop in, but there really wasn't a way to actually make it easy for you to actually enter into the lobbies. You had to search for certain conditions, and without counting all of the disconnects that were happening, it was very tough to actually find your friends in a match. Hopefully with the beta, or rather with future betas and with the full release, we could actually get to see the opportunity to invite players. However, I know with anime games, sometimes inviting players seems like it's not something that they like to do. I don't know why they keep doing that, but room codes, etc., just give me an invite button. But hopefully with this beta, that's the only time we're gonna actually see it, and it won't be so difficult to actually find your friends in matches. With this beta in particular, you did have to create a room or join rooms. There was no online ranked option to really go in and actually get matches. And in the very few moments that we were offline while the server was getting maintenance, we were able to do versus CPU. Now, I did have a little bit of gripes with the CPU option in the sense that you didn't get to pick the character that you chose, so you were playing random select essentially against any random character. And at one point it did get pretty boring, so that we kind of had to end the stream and just kind of keep going with waiting for the servers to come back up. But thankfully it was only that Friday that we had that issue, and we were able to kind of move forward and actually get some games in. This leads into the second part of the beta, where I don't think it was something to really hold it against, but it was definitely jarring that there was no training mode. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you didn't grow up in the arcade era, or you didn't go into the Strive first beta, they didn't have a training mode, or oh, KOF has a training mode though. You can't expect the training mode to happen in the first beta. I totally understand. But with a game that does not allow you to actually view your movesets and you sort of kind of have to go on the fly, it was definitely jarring as a first-time player. Which is kind of crazy considering that the game is trying to promote a user-friendly, beginner-friendly experience into fighting games, and you immediately drop a beta that doesn't necessarily give that off. So that was one of my personal gripes about it, just because what is the message you were trying to give off? With no training mode, it was really hard to actually be able to understand what the game mechanics are, on top of the fact that it was also pretty hard to understand how to hit confirm, what was the buttons. A lot of that information was coming outside, and I know one of the biggest things that anime fighters actually have an issue with is that they don't reveal all of the mechanics inside the game. You usually find those mechanics outside, either on their website or through third-party websites like Dustloop, where you actually get all of that information. So here's hoping that in the future betas as well as in the full release, there's a lot more information going into the game so that everybody can understand, and not just the select few who are like, yeah, this is more than just a party game, I want to get into it competitively. My third point when it comes to the beta is just the fact of how it felt gameplay wise. So on the first day I was very thrown off at the fact that it wasn't as fast paced. I honestly can tell you that this game feels more of a Street Fighter 5 pace than it does to an anime game such as Guilty Gear Strive and Grand Blue. And I want to mention Grand Blue quite a bit because even with Grand Blue, which has the same mechanics like a guard button and a dodge button, it felt very slow. Whereas in Grand Blue, as you see here, you're playing a little bit more faster pace, even though you have like the projectiles and the long normals and things like that. It was feeling definitely a little bit different. Dashing felt super slow in my opinion, and I'm not sure if it was more of just because like everybody was trying to get on into the servers, or if it was actually an issue where dodging was a little bit tricky. I did get the timing though later on in some of the streams, like you see here, so it didn't feel bad. It was just definitely something that like your first few hours you're gonna feel a little bit weird about. As far as gameplay goes, I do love the fact that they did move a lot of the inputs that are known to anime into one button hit confirms. At first I was very confused because playing Strive and BB Tag and Melty, I'm so used to doing all of these inputs, but finally actually understanding that it was literally one button and one directional button made my life kind of easier as I was starting to play. And it actually allowed me to focus more about my fundamentals, like working on my neutral, zoning, or just trying to get optimal damage, and then fully understanding how my character works. Shoutouts to Ranger though, his bonded material, okay? So yeah, it definitely really solid as far as like actually getting the hang of the hit confirming and getting the pace of the game. I did like the dodge mechanic. The only thing is like unlike Grand Blue, I feel like the dodge mechanic has a lot more recovery. You're probably looking around 10 frames of recovery where your opponent can literally punish you for rolling. Now, while I do like the idea of punishing people for if they do like rolls that are completely random, okay, I don't necessarily agree that it should be 10 frames, which makes me hope that they will actually get to fix that. It definitely did feel a little bit weird. I couldn't confirm though if you can grab during a roll, because the frames also seem a little bit clunky in that sense. Hopefully again, they can get some fixes out pretty soon. And then as far as like my final point, one of the biggest things that I truly believe in is that a fighting game should not come out unless it has a really good netcode. And the fact that they actually had a very solid netcode, as you see here, I'm actually finding Shattered, who is from the EU, and it was only 3 frames of rollback, which for those of you who don't know, that's about 150 ping. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's perfect, because 150 ping is pretty high, but if you're coming from NRS games where the threshold is already 150, I've been playing some high ping, alright? It's been all here like all of my career. The fact that I was able to actually play with Shattered and not feel that 150 made me so happy that I could definitely say that one of the biggest points that has grabbed me about DNF Duel is the netcode. It's very solid, I can see things happening, I don't feel like it's weighted water, and I feel like a lot of it is definitely solid to the point where I will definitely want to look into the game more, especially adding it to my community. I 100% think that, again, a netcode is super important. I think they might have used the Strive netcode for DNF Duel. If they did, phenomenal. If they based it off of it, again, phenomenal. It really shows that they put a lot of effort into making sure they have a sound structural network framework. And again, despite some of the server issues and a couple of bugs when it came down to like getting disconnected, I felt like it was more server based than actual user based where I was having a bad connection with someone. I actually didn't run into a lot of bad connections, which also made me pretty happy, and I think that that says a lot about what they're trying to accomplish here with DNF Duel. That'll be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We will be trying to see more about this beta, but of course leave your thoughts in the comments below or come visit the stream at twitch.tv/SakiSakura.tv, where we will be playing more fighting games and a whole bunch of other stuff, as well as experience more of these betas. So see you soon, Muse!